Hey guys, welcome back to Old Reader, New Reader. I'm back with one of my favorite people in the world, Jessica. Jessica, thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
And thanks for last minute bailing me out because I had to move the schedule around, which is fine. And I was like, hey, Jess, are you free? And do you have any quick recommendations? And she, because you're so organized and wonderful, gave me a few. And I was like, okay, Batgirl Year One sounds great. I've never read it. Perfect. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for reading it. It'd be fun.
Absolutely. Love the art. I read it on my. You finally converted me, by the way. I gotta check out my iPad from work, so I've been reading on an iPad. It's been very nice.
I bet the colors in this one really popped.
It's very nice. It's very good. And now I can like read on apps without being mad about the desktop versions of them, which is nice. Although DC likes to repeat pages, but it's okay.
I know Comixology changed their like formatting, and that was really frustrating for you and the rest of the world. I also saw something the other day, and I haven't really even looked, but I guess their Comixology is no longer going to exist as its own entity. It's getting absorbed by Kindle, like the Kindle store. So, I mean, I don't think anything changes. I don't really know. I don't know if anything changes price point wise, but it won't be its own separate entity. It'll be absorbed into the Kindle. So I have heard people who do use it more frequently have like opened their Kindle store, and it was very chaotic. Which I think Comixology always had a weird model because it was dumb that I had to borrow, and I like had a limit on what I could borrow.
Yeah, it was always weird.
In 2022, no.
I know.
So I support your iPad, and yeah, DC actually has a great. I mean, just another plug. I know we're the only two people using that app.
The DC Universe app
is a good app. I love it. Yeah,
I have a great time. It's very easy for me to search for things. I can make little lists,
playlists. Yeah, that's the best. Or reading lists.
And I've hoed that out for everybody. All my friends to use. Like, I can use mine.
Maybe that is what. Actually, you are the sole reason that app is failing. I have the deluxe edition.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that was one of my first. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think this is one of my earliest like purchases for like a nice collected edition.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, people at home, Batgirl Year One. I know we have some people who have not read this. Hi, Paul. Hi, Versity Art. They both said they want to read this. Oh, hey, it's a good take. DC Universe and Marvel Unlimited are the best subs for comic lovers. No joke, best bang for your buck. I agree that in the Showdown Jump app, I'm pretty happy with. So Batgirl Year One is similar to any other Year One. It is a retelling of an origin story of Batgirl, except for you have some excellent art. Very retro style. Beautiful, absolutely perfect. And it's just another origin story for Batgirl, which is very similar to other ones you've seen, where but when we start with her, at first they start with her already being in the Batgirl suit, and then we kind of take a step back with her making that decision for herself after kind of trying to find these different avenues to help people in Gotham the way she wants to that are being shut off from her. She wants to be a detective like her dad, or her dad's like, no way. And then she tries to go above his head and go, apply directly. And like, no, you don't have, you're too young. You're not tall enough, which I thought was very weird to keep hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got some growing to do. You need to be taller. And look for other positions as well. And it just wasn't working out for her. And she's like, screw this. I'm going to take it into my own hands. And I'm going to vigilante this. And then also reach out to Black Canary to be my mentor, because I realize I'm going to need one. Which I loved. I love that she was stalking the JSA to figure out when they would be out of there so she could get into the system, so she could leave a note for Black Canary that got intercepted by a wildcat. And he's like, no. Love that. I love this whole back and forth. And then it was really enjoyable that she got into the Batgirl suit by chance. So it just so happened that there was a masquerade party in Gotham, which is like a bad idea all around. I just don't see why you would ever do that. I think you're just inviting trouble. But, far be it from me to stop them. Do what you want to do. And if Gordon wants to dress up as a different culture, all right, Gordon, do what you want to do with that. And so she makes a bat suit for herself and goes. And of course, as luck has it, it gets attacked by He's not Mothman, is
Mothman, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he's not as sexy as real Mothman, but whatever you gotta do. and ends up fighting him there, and then kind of starting the Batgirl lineage, just sort of by accident, but sort of not. It's like a She-Hulk situation where she just coins Batgirl. She's like, man, all right, probably Batwoman.
Yeah, she's kind of like trolling the Batman character in a sense, and then it like sticks because you can't, once you're sort of labeled, you can't really take it back. So,
and I liked it. I liked that it went away. I liked this origin story because I've seen other ones where she takes on the Batgirl monitor more as a sign of respect for Batman and admiration. She's like, I want to be in your crew. I'm gonna go ahead and make that spot for myself. And this was more of a kind of accidental thing, but also annoying her dad sort of deal, which I really liked.
Yeah, it's very teenage. I mean, she's not really a teenager. She's kind of like I guess a young adult because she's been through college. Because Gordon early on makes a lot of comments when she's talking to him about joining the force, and he's like, I didn't pay for college for you to be a cop. And she's like, first off, I got a scholarship. So it's like, but it's very on brand. Like, it's a very like daughter thing to do. Be like, I'm going to do this to spite my father, to troll my father, and then kind of get like stuck with something associated. So I loved that. I also think there was some really smart, I didn't catch this at all. I'll fully admit my first time through, but even in the very early pages, I did remember that, the framing device for the book is talking about Oracle as in like in mythology Oracle.
Oh, but I didn't even think about that.
You know that wasn't it kind of felt like jammed in, like trying to make this metaphor work. But I mean, I'll take it because it was very on the nose.
I didn't even think about it. I don't know. I thought she's just using a nice literary device and referring to this as like a view of herself.
Yeah, and it worked, and she's in a library, so like yes, but they definitely chose that on purpose. There were also a lot of, this one really killed me. This is her dad. So this is that scene in the kitchen where she's like, I'm trying to be a cop. But here you see foreshadowing, obviously, to my much maligned, Jessica's personal much maligned, the Killing Joke. And it's her dad leaning back. He's like, ha, 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 ha. But it basically is talking about blood and ashes and how they laughed at her, Oracle, when she's telling this story about Oracle. But we also know that, in the Killing, it's paralleling the Killing Joke, which is going to be a rebirth for her out of those blood and ashes as well. So there were a lot of things like that, reading it through a second time, that the first time I read it, I didn't have enough knowledge or connective tissue to get. But this thing is chock full of like cameos and like Easter eggs, and even from the very first page to say, yeah.
I got the second Killing Joke reference later on, but we can talk about that as we go through because that creeped me out. Oh no, too bad. I couldn't get past the Dixon of it all. Yeah, I understand. The artwork is so.
I wouldn't grab a beer with Chuck Dixon, but I don't. That one's a little easier for me to just put aside my, personal feelings about him versus a couple others.
I don't think I knew about that. So my apologies for things, and I'll look it up later.
It's nothing as dramatic as some other
okay, we're not dealing with like a...
Not that I'm aware of, but it's not... I don't think you would not grab a beer with Chuck Dixon. I can say that pretty confidently.
All right.
But anyways, yes, from the very beginning, I think there's a lot of like integration of like foreshadowing and like framing that's very on the nose for where the character will eventually go.
So I definitely want to, there's a lot to talk about here. So I might be jumping around, but luckily you're still my friend and know how I talk. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, it works for me.
I do want to talk about the beginnings of when she's having her back and forth with Robin and Batman, because I enjoyed this so much, even though I'm very unclear of the age differences between Batgirl and Robin at this point. I still had a great time with this weird back and forth that was also very endearing and gave me the type of Bruce that I love, that I know that we love, which is that he cares and he has to be cool about it. But just their back and forth, like them trying to get after her and her kind of just still taking care of herself. And no matter what, even though she's in front of Batman and Robin, she is still saying her truth and like, no, I'm going to do this. And you can't stop me. Even when they like knock her out, take her back to the Batcave, which interesting choice on their behalf to do.
Yeah.
Batman's like, no, you can't do this. Like, you're just a girl or whatever he said. I can't remember. And she's like, no. And every time she tries to stop him, like, he's like, sends Robin after her. She's like, no, I'm going to beat the shit out of you now. Like, no, you need to take me seriously. We are no different from one another. If you can play the vigilante game with those superpowers, I can play the vigilante game with those superpowers. And there's even these great in-between moments where she's getting her gear together after meeting them, where she's like, he's got to be rich. There's no way this man can afford to do this. Because she's having to use a police discount at places too. It's just a very cute mix match of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. And early at that masquerade party, she's listing off some of the guests, and she's like Bruce Wayne, and she calls him like a wastoid billionaire. And so then right after, she's like, oh yeah, Batman's definitely rich. This place is huge. I'm not sure of the age difference either. And I'm not the most like close-up reader, so it seemed to me he was a couple years younger than her in this iteration. But I do think if this is your ship, if this is your like ride or die romance, this is an essential read. And I want to plug I'm going to get it wrong, but there's a podcast. I think it's called Comic Book Couples Counseling. Somebody in the chat will definitely know because it's pretty popular. But they did a series on Dick and Babs, and what they'll do with any of the couples is give you sort of the essential reads, and this is for sure in that lineup. And to do a disservice, if you do like this is pretty much the same creative team, or I think it's the exact same creative team. Someone might know, as Robin Year One, and actually these two are sold together sometimes. Robin Year One and Batgirl Year One. If you like one or the other, you're gonna probably like the other.
Yeah.
This one's a little more scattered in sort of vignettes of her first year, whereas I feel like the Robin one has a more cohesive story or like exterior plot versus like his internal growth, but it's really good. I really like it.
Can't even afford heating bills. No way you're building a Batmobile without a family foundation.
There's one of my favorite. I was thinking a lot about this idea of wearing the mantle, and like, because that's the whole thing. It's like she puts this on, and it's like, does she have a right to do that without his consent, which we can get into. But my favorite, I was like, there's, other than taking on a mantle, which feels so like big, what's another word for this? And then I got to the end, and Robin says something about having franchise privileges. There was so much witty dialogue in this, and I was like, yes, that's it. Does she have the franchise privileges? Is the conversation.
Well, that's one of the best parts about this origin story is it's so fun, and I like Babs when she's fun. I don't mind the others telling like story devices of her. I enjoyed reading about her when her brother was a crazy serial killer. Like, I love all those things. But this was just great. It just felt like real Barbara moments where she's witty and she's funny and she's headstrong and she's stubborn. And she kind of goes into things head first a lot of times, despite being so overly intelligent.
Yes.
Like her first big jump, where she's like, yeah, I can do this. And then Batman ultimately has to save her, even though she thinks that he deliberately cut it. I mean, he did. But like, it's like, that doesn't have enough give. You would have just died.
Yeah, absolutely. And she does benefit from luck a bit, and she says something, I don't know if this is luck or not, or just there's a scene early on when she's training with her sensei, because her big thing is, even when she's applying for the FBI, they're like looking through her background and thinking she's going to be an analyst, and she's like, no, I'm trying to be a field agent. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have action. And you see her training with the sensei, and she says something when she's training with the sensei that I think is really true of Batgirl, and then becomes extra true of Oracle later on. I mean, as a mantle, which is, she says, she's talking about what people expect of her, given her background, her size, etc. And she says, I use those expectations against them, which is definitely something, if you've ever taken a self-defense course, particularly as a woman, they teach you a lot about using that. They're like, you're not going to be bigger or stronger often than your attacker. That's just true. And here's things that are unique to you and what people usually expect, and how you can flip that and get the upper hand. And I think that requires intelligence. So I think she's headstrong. She's getting lucky a lot, certainly, in the bad way or in the good way. I don't know how to describe that. I'm talking to myself. She's getting lucky a lot in action. I'm done with that.
No, you're killing. I'm so glad you brought that part up, because they have that moment with the sensei, right? And then right after that, we have, around the same time, we have that first fight. And she's literally talking about the same things you talked about, where she's thinking about it very strategically. She's fighting a bunch of guys. She does not have powers. She has limited gadgets. And she lets them tire themselves out because she knows that they're going to get over cocky. So it's this long game where she fights them and gets them into it. But then she lets them think they've almost caught her. That she's kind of slipping up, but really it's all like within her control. And then she fights back. And I love that. I love all those. I love watching fight. Like the best thing about Bat Family stuff can be like, I love when writers let me see the gears in their head as they're fighting. I like when they've really mapped the whole thing out. Because I feel like if you're going to be part of the Bat Family, you kind of have to be that person. You have to think it all out like that.
The fight scenes are also drawn really well here. I don't usually care about that sort of thing, but it was so good that it stuck out at times as well.
Knee groin way.
Exactly.
I agree. I like when she's spunky. You know? So we reach a good part in the book where Batman does a typical Batman thing where he can't support her directly. Now this is a very Batman thing to do. And so he sends Robin to do that work for him. So as from the reader's point of view, from Bab's point of view, Batman is not approving. And Robin, because he has a crush on her or whatever, she knows, but she doesn't, is kind of like giving her gifts of like bat tools and stuff, like smuggling things out. It's like, you can't tell Bruce, I'm going to get in trouble. But really, Bruce is behind it the whole time. Again, very Bruce, very Outsiders of Bruce, if you've read Outsiders, where Bruce is always, he's the big kingpin of here. He's got a big soft heart. He can't show anybody, which I love. That's the real Batman, not loner Batman, everybody at home. I mean, you can have your own Batman. It's fine. My Batman is this. He's squishy. And he's like, I can't watch her get killed, but I can't really support her, even though he already is. Even though Alfred, aka Jeeves, as she calls him, definitely showed his disapproval of like, you cannot be recruiting another one. I can't allow you to do this.
Alfred is hilarious in this book. And he really, that's also my sort of favorite thing, is when he calls out Bruce, because there are very few people that can do that and get a response other than like huffing and walking away. Alfred is one of those. I was trying to find this one line that he had that was like, I was like rolling when I read it. I'll have to see if I can find it. But
while you look for that, I'll mention how funny it was how many bikes she crashed, because it's another one of my favorite bits, where no matter how many like bat cycles or whatever motorcycles were gifted to her from Robin, eventually they would all be torn to shreds no matter what every time, which I thought was great. Because of course, how would she know how to use any of these gadgets? Well, like they're...
No idea. I also loved she admitted she was bad, because like later on when she does, spoiler alert, team up with Black Canary for a second, she's like, yeah, we should never do this again. Like this actually really did not go well. She did have a great line about Black Canary earlier on. She's talking about the costume and how she's gotten stuck. She's Batgirl. And then she's talking about Bruce is not the one who inspires her. He may inspire Batman. He may inspire the city, but she says, when it comes to inspiration, I side with fishnets over leather, which was like an awesome line. It was so good.
So good. I do love that they both said that they would never team up together again in this book. And I'm like, well, you're gonna a lot. Birds of Prey is gonna happen. You're both gonna be there.
It's so true.
Oh man, there's one other moment. Oh gosh. Where is it? Oh yeah. I'm jumping around. But another cute Babs Robin moment is when it's right after they take her back home from the Batcave. She's been knocked out by knockout gas after the first time. And when she wakes up, she's back at her home with everything folded there. And she's like, oh shit, they know who I am. They know exactly where I live. Alfred and Robin have dropped her off, and Robin did not change his outfit at all. And she's like, I don't understand how they knew. How would they know? And it was so cute how Robin's like, I remember those freckles and that red hair
on the bridge of her nose.
I would know that from anywhere, from when he met her on on the rooftop when she's with her dad. I thought that
Mhm.
was so Robin, especially young
Mhm.
Robin. I do love the young Robin Babs like first love, like story
Yeah.
between them. Even though I don't think a lot of them are very. I think Dick Grayson's a playboy, and a lot of those
Yeah.
girls can do better than him. As much as I love him, but like
He has
it's
some growth, and he does have some
yeah.
growth later. I did see someone had a tier ranking, not to get into this or receive any comments relating to it. I'm not inviting that, but I did see someone tier ranking with that app. I don't know what it's called. I think it is called
Yeah.
Tier Ranker. And it was like DC men and how much they respect women. And I'm not going to tell you their thoughts on Dick Grayson, but it really aligned. I'll have to send it to you. I think he's had a lot of growth, but I am with you that I think he's generally been a little bit of a playboy. I will say having this young love is great. And then in that podcast that I was talking about, I remember them making this point. It kind of also makes it really powerful when he's still pursuing her later as Oracle, because she has a lot of hangups about a lot of things, including like desirability as like a romantic partner and what that means, when you're differently abled, etc. So I thought that was really good. The Alfred thing, Elliot.
I probably did. Words are hard.
Listen, earlier I was talking myself in the corner about her getting action. So it is what it is. Getting lucky, that's what it was. There's a scene, he's like, Bruce is watching Robin give her a tour of the Batcave, and Alfred says, "Oh, I see. We can now add voyeurism to the roster of personal psychoses you refuse to address." And he's like, "Not now, Alfred," because he does it all the time.
Oh, wait, we highlight you, sorry.
It's just this is the dynamic. We need more of this, him calling him out. I love that. There's also,
I love the next page where like Robin,
yes,
and then they do this.
And more foreshadowing, because it says this clown's no joke if you see him run the other way. And so it's like, again, foreshadowing the role that Joker is going to play later on in her story. So there's a lot of that. But yeah, they're so funny. There was tons of stuff even in the art that was like jokey. That was so good.
Man, I'm dying to talk about that part at the end, even though, okay, so I mean, she fights Mothman a lot back and forth, and they're obsessed with her. And I love the whole back and forth where she's like, all these weirdos are into me, because they do kind of, it's like they're fighting her, but it's like an obsession wise and kind of into her in a way. Mothman and Firefly this whole time, which was an interesting dynamic between them, because they're not great at doing anything, which is fun. Also appreciate the Condiment Man cameo.
Oh, I have. I think I have that.
Always saved. Condiment Man. I don't know how this man's a danger to
anyone. The Condiment King. It's also the way they've drawn him here is like extra ridiculous.
Total dork.
I also thought like I kept reading how they wrote Mothman here. I genuinely think that some of the other villains are a little bit scary. Not Condiment King, but the way they wrote Mothman, I was like, Mothman and Kite Man, Harley Quinn, Kite Man were like meant to be best friends.
Oh, 100%.
Because Mothman has this whole scene in the bar where he's like, look, the regular people, I forget what he calls them, pay taxes to get protected by the police. Who protects the crooks? And he's like, like, it could be us. And so he's like building this franchise. And it's hilarious because the way this system that he's building gets taken down is they didn't pay taxes. So the facilities they were used get closed. The guy was just like, it was such a Kite Man, like animated
cute
series. And I was like, these guys need a little.
But he's a perfect spin-off. First villain for her too. Because we have him who's very kind of, he's goofy. You don't take him too seriously. But when he's paired with Firefly, who's really scary.
Yeah, she levels up, and I mean, without her even really understanding.
Oh, what's on your shirt?
Oh, this is a Valkyrie shirt.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And at the very bottom, it says, "All Hail King Valkyrie."
Very cool. I'm in the market for She-Hulk shirts, but nobody's releasing anything cool yet, and the show's been out. I don't know what's happening.
That's frustrating.
But that was perfect, because then eventually when she does defeat him, we get into spoilers here. There's this great discussion when she's finally accepted by Batman, and there's other things we want to talk about, but I kind of want to jump to I have it in my head before I forget. But she's finally accepted by him, and he brings her back to the Batcave, where she does this like simulated fight, and then he's like, you can still walk away, And if you walk away right now, like this is your life right now. Your life is like Mothman, fighting Mothman.
Yeah.
And you can walk away and that would be all it is. But if you stay and you continue, this is what you're looking at for your future. And they set up all of these other like DC Gotham villains. And eventually with this like very creepy face-to-face look between her and the Joker, which as a reader, having already read Killing Joke a couple of times, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And knowing what's coming, that really shook me because she doesn't know at this point, of course, any of this. And she's like, no, I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, the rest of them, yeah, of course you're gonna get into. I'm like, oh my God, you are walking right in. I know exactly what you're walking into. This has been a wonderful, like, very fun story this entire time. And I'm watching this like not naive, but just new approach to everything. And I know exactly what you're walking into after this. And I thought it was a good closing. I mean, it was a good little closing at the end, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Or not enjoyed, but like, you know what I mean? It was a good wrap up.
It really grounds it. It makes it more than just a quick fun outing. I think there is like depth here. There's also a closure to this, well, kind of closure. She also has kind of a spar, and at one point she says, but I'm not just any woman, I'm Jim Gordon's little girl, because that's the thing she's trying to get out from underneath at the beginning. And then there's this recognition that there's all these influences in her life. There is Black Canary, there's also Jim Gordon and what she sees people trying to accomplish, in her view, thinking in her opinion that the police are sort of helping this situation, or the FBI is helping this situation. And so it's like, I think there's a real recognition too of like her identity isn't just rebelling against things, it's also defining herself. And I really like that. So there's a nice closure sort of to that story as well. I also died because I love a classic switcheroo. So the way that they're making sure he doesn't know it's Barbara is like Bruce is like on the roof at the end and Batgirl appears, and then also Barbara appears, so it can't be Barbara, but really it's Dick dressed up, and he's like, they don't pay me enough for this, which I thought was like,
I love that Alfred was like, I'm just the coach.
Yeah.
So cute.
It was so cute. It was so cute.
I was trying to gather, I guess he was trying to tell Gordon that like, because he was like, I thought she liked me. Is that what Robin is Batgirl said? I was so confused by that one bit about what he was trying to get across. But regardless, the idea of Dick Grayson pretending to be Batgirl in that instance was really good. This is very funny.
Yeah, it was very funny. I really enjoyed that bit. Yeah. I was trying to find that part.
But it was just so sweet. I loved him accepting her, because this whole time she thought it wasn't Batman, it's just Robin kind of helping it. But she gets this official letter, and it's very sweet. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. And she's on one condition. Grant me one small boon. It's wonderful.
It was so good. I love the dynamic that they have by the end of the run. And there were so many, like, for me, I felt like too, there were so many Easter eggs, but like for me personally, just getting a little bit of Black Canary and Green Arrow flirtation. You know, I love
she's
that.
Like, go ahead and turn me into Adam. So he's like, was that like a sexual thing? And she's like, come on, I already said I'm going to be with you forever. And then like once it switches, like, and not just for like the sex part or whatever. They are so cute.
I know in real life they are probably not a healthy couple, but I do not care. I simply do not care. I love these two so much. And I think that they have the best banter. There was also, like I wrote down, there were tons of them, so I know I missed 1,000, but I loved the very specific, when she's trying to find Black Canary and go to the JSA headquarters and leave her little note, which I love when she resealed it with her hair straightener. There were a lot of little things in here that I was like, that was really like, it was smart and also makes sense for the character and like where she's at in life. But the location of their headquarters is at 1940 Fox, the corner of Fox and Gardner, and Fox and Gardner inventing the JSA in 1940, and then also inventing Batgirl, which I didn't know, because when I Googled that to make sure I was right about the JSA part, I saw they also invented Batgirl. So that was cool. And
That's
then
so
later
cool.
on, they're at the corner of O'Neill and Adams as far as call outs for Batman writers. So there were so many like little things woven into every detail of this that were like, it was just packed, I guess. I don't know. Loved it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the deluxe and reread it because I love the art. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always happy for more Batgirl books. And oh no, it's too dark. But I love Babs forever. She's wonderful.
And I love that costume. I
know. I am forever.
I know.
Burnside Batgirl costume fan. I don't want it to ever be any different than this, personally.
Yeah, there were actually a couple times. Yeah, talking about the artwork here, I loved it too. I also, I love seeing how different artists and movies, actually, in media, paint Gotham. I thought it was really interesting, however you feel about Robert Pattinson's The Batman. One of the most interesting things to me was filming in Europe made it look so different, but still made a lot of sense. Like, I just think like Gotham is probably one of the most iconic fictional cities across any medium.
Yeah.
I really feel confident about that. And what was cool about this is it looked noir in the way Gotham normally does, yet colorful. So I was thinking about, even in the shadow work, sometimes she's in this black costume and there's a shadow because it's kind of done in this noir way. And so it looks purple, which was kind of cool. They didn't know, obviously, later in Batgirl's time, she would be like full on purple, like Gail Simone, whatever, but like, or Batgirl of Burnside, but that it still was kind of cool to see that. And so, yeah, the art was like noir yet colorful, and also just in a very Darwin Cook-esque way, retro yet modern, which is like so hard to do. And my only complaint is, unlike Darwin Cook, because I've never seen a Darwin Cook thing that looked like this, sometimes that retro part where you're trying to meet it with modern makes the faces look really pinched and weird. None of the main characters in this had this, but a couple of the side characters were like just looked a little odd in a couple of scenes. That's my only like criticism, but to get both makes it feel like timeless and true to the character, but also true to the location, which is, I think, a hard mix of things. And I think they did it so well. I think the art is like so solid throughout the whole thing.
Agreed. Joshua says that now I've got to read Robin Year One. I'd like to now. I'm down.
It's good. I haven't read it in a while. I read it at the same time I read this. Someone else earlier in the chat said they were kind of a part 1 and part 2, which I didn't remember. So I think Robin would come first, but that person can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Anything else you want to talk about the book, or we just rate it and then hang out?
I think I'm good to rate it. I can't think of anything else.
All right. I'm feeling like an 8 out of 10. I really, really liked it.
Solid.
That's where I'm at.
All right.
It's very good. I recommend, and I want to buy it now. So to me, that's a good, solid recommendation. I'd like to have it. I'm also a Batgirl completionist, really. There's few characters I want to have all this stuff for. So I feel like Batgirl's one of them.
Is it Batgirl or is it Babs specifically that you're choosing?
At this moment, Babs, because actually one thing I need to fix this year, the next year, is actually read other Batgirls, because I haven't. I've read them in things like Detective Comics or side stories, but I've never read other non-Babs specific Batgirls before.
That's so interesting. Yeah. There are, you did, one other, sorry, real quick, not to backtrack, but that cop, Jason, I can't remember his last name. Somebody's going to remember. They also date in the comics later on, if I remember correctly. So it's kind of funny because he keeps hitting on her. Several people were hitting on her here. Him. There was like Library Boy, the cop boy.
The Library Boy was so good because he's like, where do I need to put this book? And she's like, it goes in philosophy. Stop asking for an excuse to come talk to me. If you want to ask me out, just ask me out. And he leaves.
I love
mistake. Comes back later when she's busy and ask her out, and she's like,
"No,"
just leaves.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's this does something that I think is really hard to do, which is it's concise. It tells a complete story. It's both new reader friendly. Like, I really think, especially because the only knowledge you have to have is basic cultural knowledge about Batman, Alfred, and Jim Gordon. And most people have that, whether they've read comics or even watched the animated series or what have you. It's just in our collective knowledge. And it's filled with Easter eggs and tells a satisfying story if you've read 1,000 Batgirl stories. And that's just so hard to like hit all the boxes, and the art's consistent. I mean, that's like that's a trifecta you don't get very often.
Oh, so absolutely.
It's a 9 out of 10.
Which is, the bar is low, but yeah.
The bar is literally the ground. Yeah.
What about the ongoing series of the 3 Batgirls? Haven't read it, but heard good things. I haven't read it yet either, because I stopped buying floppies pretty much, except for like some, except for things like Nubia or things that I'm worried about. So I'll get each floppy just in case. But I do want to read Batgirls because from what I've seen from like the covers and things, I love the style a lot.
Yeah, the art looks awesome. I have read the first issue and I was kind of middle of the road with it. I will say it usually I'm middle of the road with things in the first issue. It takes me a bit to get into, but like Maddie, I only have a limited budget and I try to be real strategic, showing where my dollars are going to. So that one just didn't make the cut, but I will be checking it out for sure.
Well, luckily we have DC Universe. We just have to wait 6 months.
We did. Let's keep plugging it.
I have an October plug for Oreo New Reader. Thank you, because I still need to choose for October for here. Fangirls, it's done, but not for Oreo New Reader, which Jess, you better be on some of them.
Yeah, I'm down. I love spooky.
James Tynion and Ming Doyle's 13-issue Constantine the Hellblazer run. That sounds great, actually. It's John at his gayest, and they use part of his story for Joanna and Netflix's Sandman. Okay. Done. I'll do it. I actually haven't read any Hellblazer. Like I love Constantine because of live action and animated things. I mean, live action is in Legend of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I guess he also voices in the animation, but I love the animated movies.
He does, yeah.
I see him in things, but I've never actually read Hellblazer ever.
Yeah, I have read some Garth Ennis Hellblazer. I'm terrible with names. And it wasn't for me ultimately. I think if I had read it at the time it was coming out, perhaps I would have gotten more into it. This I have actually read the first part of, and it's very good. I can't wait to finish. So yes, great suggestion. I can already know now. I also think, and I'm just like, I'm on a personal quest to get Maddie to read New 52 Justice League Dark. It doesn't get enough love.
Oh yeah. I did say, because I was looking at stuff to read for October, that Justice League Dark would be. How many Tuesdays do I have in October? Is anyone going to be? Oh, we have 2 or 4. I'm sorry. Well, Nato, I might have to choose Justice League Dark over Hellblazer for Jess, unless I do 2 DC things. But we'll see.
Hellblazer, it can also be there just later, but Justice League Dark obviously takes place before, so I feel like
okay, I can do Justice League Dark in October, and then a Hellblazer in November.
The thing about Justice League Dark New 52 is you get, I think, a solid Constantine for sure, but you also get your beloved Deadman.
I do love Deadman,
and that's really the end of the pitch. Zatanna's really great in it. There's so many awesome characters, and I want to say that I'm gutted, emotionally devastated, that I know in my heart of hearts, no matter how many times they tell us this project is still alive.
Oh my God. Yeah.
HBO Max is not going to do a Justice League Dark TV show.
It'd be so good though.
It would be my dream. It's like one of my dream shows. I knew when they announced it 7 million years ago that it was never going to happen. And now I really know, because things at HBO Max are like,
yeah, and honestly, it'd be a smart move for them, because instead of, I feel like the biggest issue with DC EU compared to Marvel is I feel like they're always trying to copy what Marvel's doing, and that's how they're trying to catch up, which isn't smart. I think, do something different. You don't have to, you can do how we did Guardians and give people new people. You don't have to even explain them, really. The audience is smart. They're going to catch on. Justice League Dark would be perfect, because if you already can't do light and colorful, perfect. You've got Justice League Dark. You can do darker colors. There you go.
It's a very good point. I do worry now. I agree. Even if it's not about the color, it's the horror bit. Like it's like, okay, well, what market doesn't Marvel monopolize currently? Then I said that. I've been saying that for a while. Horror.
And then they finally announced.
And I was like, okay, well, I guess Marvel's in the horror game, So I don't know. I just think horror and magic sell. I still stand by a lot of these Vertigo originated characters. really deserve a spotlight, and they became so popular and lasted on a kind of second tier publisher,
Yeah.
even though Vertigo's obviously was well known
Yeah.
for a reason. And I just think like it always I'll give you an example. It really shocks people when I talk about adaptations, like not comic book readers obviously, but they're like,
Yeah.
V for Vendetta was a comic, From Hell was a comic. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
Vertigo sells, and like this is a market that DC has historically actually had luck with. It's just people don't associate it with DC Comics. And so I really thought the Constantine TV show was pretty solid overall. I do think taking characters like that and putting them on a platform where you don't have to worry about ratings as in like PG-13 or R, what have you, is like a win-win-win, but they just like cannot get it together. And it's like really painful physically to be a DC fan, but I'm a masochist, so here I am.
As long as we keep getting at least the animated movies, because that's been the one saving grace. So,
and they've been great. The Justice League Dark, the like original animated movie, is really solid, like really good. Actually, a genuinely great movie.
Yeah,
love it.
I haven't watched the new Constantine House of whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the other, but
I love them. Justice League Dark is great too, all the way through New 52 into Rebirth when Ram V takes over. I have read part of Rebirth. I have those volumes because at one point Wonder Woman joins as well.
Yes.
And so I was really interested in that. And also I love Detective Chimp. Like I love Detective Chimp.
Oh yeah.
I just think that's a great character.
It really is.
Yeah, some agreements there. WB is never smart. I agree.
Yeah. It's been a while, yeah.
In the DCU, I like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam, but aside from those heroes plus Harley Quinn, the tones of their movies sometimes not treat the characters, whereas DC TV and DC AU is. Yeah, I agree. I thought I loved Justice League Dark and Swamp Thing before Ram V, but my God, the man can't write a bad book. I agree. Yeah, I think it was Tinian's run. And I love Tinian, whatever he does, pretty much. Especially if there's horror stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it was like Tinian and then Ram V, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right, in the Rebirth stuff. Lemire writes one of the Justice League Dark at one point. It has a couple, I think it has like 3 different writers throughout New 52.
By the way, I did find that tier list. I would bring it up here, but I feel like people get annoyed because
people will very much get annoyed. I didn't disagree with some of them. Some shocked me. I thought the Clark one was hilarious, though. I was like, that actually is very true to Clark. I feel like he is reading some books, but like it's not fully clicking for him.
So people, just to give a little insight of this tier list that she talked about, it's this tier list of DC characters and it rates them on how they would respect women, which is great. It's male characters. But there's, the one she's talking about is educating himself on feminism to become a true ally. And that's Green Arrow, somebody I don't know, Clark, Shazam, and then the first Green Lantern, like JSA, or JLA, sorry. I love the all women are queens list.
The names of the tiers are great.
Yeah. You've got Kyle, you've got Deadman, of course. I love that Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are on here. And I think I agree. I agree with that. Roy Harper, they put respects women, so I'll take it. That one's like kind of the middle, right? Respects women is sort of like the middle or upper middle, I think, of the tier, if I remember right. Yeah, so I'll take it. If they put Blue Lightning on this, I would disagree. I think he thinks all women are queens, personally. But Lightning or Blue Lightning? Black Lightning.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, okay.
I don't quite agree with that.
Okay.
I love that both the Joker and Damian are on the does not perceive women.
The Joker one was hilarious when you look at who else. First off, that is true about Batman and bless his heart. But the Joker one's random because when you look at how high up he is compared to some other beloved characters, it's like it 2 things can be true at one time. You can be a terrible person, and then also in this one area, you are better maybe than some of these good people. I can't totally disagree with Batman not perceiving, but I feel a bit differently now that the Harley Quinn. Now that he's been in account therapy, and everyone, please watch the Harley Quinn cartoon. It's so good. It is so good. It's the best. I'm so thankful for the Harley Quinn cartoon and the DC webtoons that are out right now because they are giving me the brevity that I've always wanted from DC.
And so DC can continue to ignore the things that I want from comic books as long as this exists. So I can have both. It's very important that I have the seriousness with very weird things like Batman and Catwoman going to couples therapy and there's a musical. Like that's what I needed.
That's so good.
Batman can only perceive justice.
I was trying to find it too. I liked it so long ago. I can't remember.
Lee Williams Grant's horror style X-Terminators drops its first issue tomorrow. It's X-23 Dazzler, Jubilee, and Boom Boom hunting Marvel vampires.
Interesting.
Yes, I'm in. If anyone has any suggestions, by the way, for October reads, please drop them. I usually do at least one Junji Ito book every year. I know that I'm already doing one for Fangirls, so I will probably do a different one for here. I'm always looking for new horror recommendations. Every year I feel like I'm struggling because I'm like, oh, I've read the big ones. Oh, I haven't read Gideon Falls. Every year I get that complaint.
Also,
so
why do I always think that's a children's cartoon?
You're thinking about Gravity Falls.
Yeah, every time someone says it. Okay, so there is one. I just ordered it today. It came out in August. It's by Sweeney Boo, and I know you love them.
Love Sweeney Boo.
It's called Over My Dead Body, and hold your horses because I know you hate this. It says for fans of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I think they mean the TV show because it doesn't look anything like the much maligned comic. But it's basically, it's like Hogwarts, but like more diverse.
Hell yeah.
So I ordered that actually this morning because I was like, oh, this looks perfect.
Yeah, let me know how that is and if it's
I will.
Worth going through because I love her.
Same.
I mean, the title is a spoiler. Gideon Falls.
The question of the series is, does he pick himself up and try again? Try again. That's the question, Elliot. There's actually a musical montage at the end with it.
Ancient headlight alert. Oh, Revival by Tim Seeley. I have those volumes. I haven't read them. So this is giving me some good ideas. This should be, Maddie, please review the books that you have already and haven't talked about. But yeah, I should do Gideon Falls because a lot of people, even when I did my review video, like my favorite top 10 horror reads, everybody's like, why isn't Gideon Falls on here? I was like, I haven't read it.
Called out.
Yeah, people are very upset about it.
Sometimes it's good to leave, like, I don't know if other people do this, but like there are some comics I own that I know I'm gonna love. I just know I'm gonna love, and I want to keep them for a future date in which future Jessica really needs that guaranteed bet because present Jessica has a lot of misses as a DC fan. So I totally agree with you about the webtoons thing because it's like you need a boon, as Batgirl said tonight, where it's like, I know this is going to be good, and so I'm going to wait. Like I've been enjoying Invincible, and I have what's the equivalent of like 3 trades left of the last compendium, so like a quarter of it or like a half. And I'm just not there yet because I know I'm going to love it, and I'm like I need that win for future Jessica. Present Jessica's doing all right without it. Future Jessica's going to need it.
I totally agree because I was reading all of my all my webtoons like regularly every week, and I kind of dropped off. But I'm not mad about that because that means I'll get to read a bunch of it. There'll be a day when I'm really bored, or I just need something else, and I can go through. I can read a ton of it. So like Zatanna and Wayne Family Adventures and all of my like goofy romance webtoons. I can just read a bunch of them at once. It's gonna be great. Rucka's Black Magic. You haven't read that? I have, and I liked it because I love that artist. Nicholas Scott, right?
It is Nicholas Scott. Yeah. It's black and white, I think. Yeah. I didn't like it. I remember when you reviewed it actually, because I was like, we really vehemently did. I just couldn't stand anything about it, which is weird because you know me. I love both of those people. That was one where I was like, I'm gonna love this. And I got it from the library and I was like, I don't love this. And
sometimes it's a miss.
Sometimes it's a miss for you personally, but I'm so glad other people love it because that is a great creative team up for sure. For sure.
I don't know off the top of my head, Lionheart, how many volumes are in Monstrous hardcover.
2 or
I'd have to look it up.
3? I don't know. It's not. That's another one that was a miss for me personally.
There's a new book that just came out called Donuts and Doom. Yeah, that came up as recommended. I literally had it open when you said that because I looked at that Sweeney Boo book, and under that was recommended was Donuts and Doom, which looks very my speed.
Amazon knows us more than we know ourselves.
They really do. They're always like showing me things like, don't you think you might want this? You know what I really want? That collection of One Piece where it's one giant book. Though I'm making 50 of them.
How do you hold that?
I don't think you do. I think it's just a novelty thing, but I do want it.
Wow.
Again,
is it like tall? Like what does it?
It's just
what
very
are the
long. It's just very long.
No, you're making this like an accordion.
No, I'm not. Yes. There's no way you can read it. I just want it for the novelty of having it. Or I don't even know where it would go.
I'm still on.
I have to make a special shit. Like
Hannah has a suggestion for you.
You read it as a group and hold an eighth each. Yeah, see, Hannah's with me.
Man, I gotta look up. So it's out right now. Like I can Google like an unboxing and try to watch somebody.
There's like a picture or whatever. They're only making 50 of them.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a big.
Wow. But it's One Piece is not over, right?
No.
They're just like
there's like 1,060 something chapters right now.
Wow.
And I am 50 chapters behind.
Joshua, that's right. Or what they need. I don't even go here. I don't even do One Piece. But what they really need is they need bookends that look like the front and the back part of the ship for the book to sell it like as a complete set. Like that would look really cool.
I don't collect any of the manga, but I wish I did for that. I'm a huge One Piece fan. But I know I could never in my life afford to buy all that manga ever.
Yeah, it looks like a lot.
No.
Oh, I just opened the link.
It's a big boy. B-O-I.
So it has a little okay. It has a case.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see the picture where it's open. This is like unreal. What are they doing here?
I mean, why not? They can make a lot of money doing stuff like this. It's fine. They can do whatever they want, honestly. You need to read Battle Angel. I would love to read Battle Angel. Have I read Battle Angel? Well, luckily, if I have, I've already forgotten. So I'd love to read it because I watched the anime and the movie. So when you said, wow, I was thinking, did I post the right link? I understand.
the anxiety. Yeah, it was impressive. I saw later on where they open it up. I'm like, wow, this doesn't even look real.
It's pretty cool. Image has been putting out a ton of horror anthologies recently. Razor Blades, Ice Cream Man, The Silver Coin. I've read Ice Cream Man, but I haven't read the other two.
Same. I've only read Ice Cream Man.
I liked Ice Cream Man. I thought the Death Note all-in-one was bad. I mean, One Piece. That's a lot. It's a lot of things. Oh man, Jessica, you should come with me when the next movie comes out. Just buy your ticket. You can watch it completely out of context.
One Piece has movies?
Oh yeah, ton of movies.
Oh my god!
One Piece Film Red is coming out in the States next month. It's very exciting. I will be in cosplay for it.
Wow, it's different than the anime show.
Well, it's not canon technically, but it is written by the creator.
Is it live action or it's also anime, but like
animated.
a movie? Oh.
Yeah, we're getting a live action next year. Like they already posted pictures of the ships and stuff. And I'm really excited about it because the guy who's playing Luffy, I just watched him in a different, like a Canadian show. One of those like fun superhero power shows.
It is funny when you show people stuff. I have a friend who brought a date to see Multiverse of Madness, only to find out that person had really never watched Marvel movies since like Captain America, the first Avenger. And I was like, did they know anything that was happening? They were like, no, not at all.
That would be a no for me as a person to date. Like, I'm not that picky, but like, sure, you don't have to be into comics. I haven't been into comics until I have to stop saying recently. It's not recently anymore. It's been like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. But to not watch like any of the stuff, no, undateable. Please.
I know people that were confused during Multiverse of Madness because they just missed like WandaVision or missed like one critical piece and they were completely lost. And so I can't imagine like you just don't even know what's happening.
Because like if you haven't watched What If, you're still a little like, what?
Very true. I do want to say one thing that I'm very interested. I'm not rooting for them to fail. I love entertainment. I'm watching it all. But now we are reaching the critical mass of like, now that Marvel is like fixated on you watching each of these things to understand the next thing. Maddie and I both know, and he won't mind us outing him. I don't think that, like, when we talk to Lee, who comes on the show sometimes, he's like, I can't even do it anymore because I can't be required to watch it all. And he's somebody who does like that sort of thing. So I think I am really curious, this like, will we hit sort of a critical mass for Marvel specifically, and if they'll just kind of give that up and then make the movies connect versus like everything. I'm so curious. I mean, I'm generally watching everything. I didn't watch Moon Knight, and I'm like an episode behind on She-Hulk, but I don't like the feeling of being made to watch something I'm not super interested in so that I'll understand the next movie. So we'll see like what that does. I'm curious to see.
Yeah, because I worry it'll get to the point where I'm going to need to, somebody else to watch the movie first and then give me a guiding list beforehand that says like, these are the required for this. So I know. And I don't want it to get to that point. I enjoy when I get to watch everything and feel like I'm rewarded for it. But it doesn't feel like that either because it's like a guessing game. It's more like, okay, I need to watch this just in case. But it's not like, oh, wait a second. Ooh, let me connect it for fun.
Yeah, I as a quick anecdote, this is interesting only to me. I have a friend that loved Captain Marvel. She's not really into, which is weird because I didn't even really love that movie, but she's not super into watching like the MCU as a whole. She's seen a couple and liked some, but she's not like a regular goer. Loved Captain Marvel, bought merchandise, even went back and read the comics. She loved it so much.
Yeah.
Then completely separate from that, someone had recommended the Ms. Marvel comics, and she's not a comics reader, but she is a reader. She's like picked them up. She read a bunch of them, right? And so she's got some of that, but she's not going to go back and watch WandaVision. She'll eventually get to the Ms. Marvel show, but she hasn't gotten to it yet. Will she be able to watch Marvels? I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm going to have to do like some prep work before she can go, which is sad because it's somebody who wants to spend money, who's a fan of some of those properties, but because they can't go back and be bothered to watch like 2 TV shows and 2 movies, you've lost like a viewer. And that's kind of like a bummer. It's, it sucks not to be able to be a casual fan of something, I think.
Absolutely. I'll be Nico Robin. She's my favorite.
Live your best life. I support you.
I do a casual outfit because I need to be comfy and warm because she has a lot of skin exposed. Yeah, I don't need a lady to be into my hobbies to be boring if they're in the same exact thing. I don't want to be in the same exact thing, but I not because I have ADHD. It's because of who I am and I hyperfixate. It is helpful for me if we have some things in common, especially as like a romantic partner, because I am very into the things I'm into.
Yeah.
If I had none of the things, we have to have some hobbies in common.
Yeah, and I think it has to be someone that supports you and is genuinely interested in what you're interested in, even if they don't share that interest. Because I've dated people where I love when people just are really nerdy about whatever it is. I think that is like a great quality in a person and a partner. And there are tons of times where it's like, I'm not really into what you're into, but I'm genuinely interested in how into it you are and how you explain it. So I think that's where I would want them to be able to listen to a rant and like actively participate meaningfully, even if they're not going to watch everything with me or read everything. That's totally okay.
I don't want a comic book partner because there'll be collection sharing, and that's rough when we get divorced because dogs are better than humans and have to figure out who gets which books. I will say, luckily, my partner is not into having things. Not that I ever see us separating, but
Elliot's like, I'm about to bust into the room.
Whoa. But I am the one who collects all the things. I feel a lot of joy from having things. I'm not a hoarder. I'm like a little dragon. That was a weird thing to say. I like to have my stuff. I like my things. They bring me joy when I see them. I like figures. I mean, we're not in my comic book basement where all the stuff is. We're in this nicely curated collection of things. But downstairs is a different story.
You're really opening yourself up to another Maddie give us a basement tour request.
I know, I gotta stop saying it.
Mentioning the basement.
Like, my partner before this, like, we did have to separate the figures out, but luckily it was very clear whose was whose. But some of those figures I do miss a lot. You just gotta make sure that you're very clear on whose figures are what.
Daniel D says comic book prenup.
I think some people should consider that for themselves.
Or like just a ledger of how much you've collectively spent. So even if you don't get the figure, you're getting reimbursed, and maybe you could buy something else with that money that you like. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially those, like, some people are collecting it to like make money off of later, which is amazing to me because I mean, I'll sell books sometimes in times of need, but like I don't think my books that way. Even though I do know if I'm ever in trouble, I can sell all my Buffy collection and be okay. That's
like your retirement. As a millennial, my Buffy omnibus collection or whatever that's my retirement plan.
Yeah, it is. I know that'll be that's worth more than many things that I own.
That's fair. That's legit.
Yeah. Well, we've gone over time a bit. Wouldn't it be nice? I just need someone to sit in my basement while I paint, and then I can do it. That's the only thing. I will be so bored to tears to do it by myself. I just need someone to be there to talk to me and entertain me, and I will paint it. That's it. That's the only thing in the way. That's it.
I mean, I've offered to do that.
Okay, well then do it. Come over.
You'll have to get the paint.
I have the paint already.
Oh, you just had it this whole time? I didn't know that.
Because I started for like months ago.
I'm even trying to picture like where you are painting.
It's just the trim. It's not even a big deal.
Oh my god! So how long is it going to take? Like an hour? 2 hours?
Yeah, it won't take a few hours.
We can do that and no problem at all.
You come over. I'll supply wine. You just have to supply the company.
Yeah, I can do that for sure. You'll also supply doggos.
Yep. Including this one.
Although I'm not sure Yuna should be allowed during this process.
No. Have Omar do it. You're helping his channel. This used to be my channel too. I was a co-owner. I just don't do as much stuff now. I'm busy.
She's curating her appearances now.
You can set up a Discord voice chat and everyone in the chat can talk to you while you paint. Actually, that doesn't sound bad.
That's a really good idea, actually. Yeah. It's kind of cool. Or people can put in their questions and I'll read them to you, and then you can respond as you're painting, so you don't have to be on camera, because that's
honestly
kind of awkward.
That sounds great. Y'all want to hang out on Twitch? We just play some music. I'll drink a lot, I guess.
And then your trim won't be very straight at the end.
Well, neither am I.
It's good. Touche. Also, it is Bisexuality Visibility Week, and I hope everyone's celebrating accordingly. And all bisexuals are not committing crimes because we're visible this week.
I was really hoping people would stop observing me, but
don't perceive me.
Stop looking at me. I'll get other comments like, "I didn't know Maddie was gay. I didn't know she was queer. I'm leaving." Like the one time I got, I didn't know you're part of the Alphabet Mafia. Like, obviously. Wow. Are you kidding? Yeah. I'm sorry. No one can love Wonder Woman the way that I love Wonder Woman and Red Sonja and not be.
If you saw her statue and art collection, you would understand. It would just be obvious. You wouldn't have to say
how many pictures of very thick women I have downstairs.
Drunk Maddie's loving it. It's really just Maddie, but sped up, or like the volume's turned up a little bit. It's not. I don't think it's too much different.
I think I'm lovely. I have been drunk on stream before. It's not that different. I'm just a lot more.
Yeah, it's like exponentially it's the same, but to the second power, third power.
Yeah, it's a good idea though. Maybe I'll stream that. I'll do it on here or Twitch or something. And then everybody can see the basement process. And then it's just me drunkenly being like, "Have you seen this book? Look at it." Let me tell you about Upgrade Soul. That's what it is. I just get drunk. I stop painting.
Explaining Upgrade Soul drunk does actually sound like the highest form of entertainment known to man. There's actually...
I would love that. I would love some, like... I how fun would it be just a drinking and talking about comic books night. No purpose, just like picking up books. Just a drunk AMA sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I support that. I support you.
I'm gonna do it. But like next month, not next month.
It's like painting with a twist, but you're not doing art. You're painting your wall. Or Pinot's palette. Pinot's palette is the one here.
Oh yeah.
Or I think that we have multiple, but
yeah. Nobody asked me about the pole in the basement. You'll see it, but don't ask me about it.
Well, now they're definitely
they know. I do pole dancing. Now you know. Anyways, Omar does tours. You should too. I know. I have before. You can find it on the channel. I used to do videos all the time. I'm busy. Anyways, I hope everybody's a good night. We've reached the time of the night where I have no filter, so it's a problem. So we should end the show. But thank you all for being here. I'll be here next week with my guest Freddie. Luckily, he now has power again. I've been very worried.
Oh my goodness.
Because he's in Puerto Rico and it was worrisome. But anyways, he'll be back. Chat, thank you all for being so great. Jess, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me and letting me stumble over my words tonight.
Absolutely. Stay on the call after so we can talk about this tier list. Anyways, have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.